So I was working a job in healthcare, then I transitioned into the education sector.
Why did you want to start property in the first place?
I can't see myself working until 65 years old. Like, see my parents do it. I've always knew I was destined for something greater. So
In terms of like total income, how much would you say you've made in your deal sourcing journey so far?
over £10,000, therefore 5 figures. So yeah.
Did you put any of your own money into the house? Like for when you did deal sourcing, did you put any rent, bills, mortgage deposit, any of your own monies? Did you pay for the house?
They also said, no, didn't.
Okay, guys, so for this video, I am here with one of my students who has done tremendously well in the program. Now, not only has he just done well, okay, he has managed, in fact, he's going to tell you all about himself, but this is someone that I've trained from start to finish about how to make money completely remotely within the property space. Like, he is so fantastic. He's probably sitting here cringing, just smiling at how I'm going to gas him up because, guys, listen, if you have never believed that you can make money remotely within property, that there is a thing called remote real estate, listen, you just haven't met Len. You haven't met Len because listen, guys, you're in for a treat. So Len, tell us about yourself. Like, where were you before starting property and like, what were your goals in terms of getting into it?
So I was working a job in healthcare, then I transitioned into the education sector. So I was just basically doing that before I got mentored by you. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. He was doing education. He was in that space. And with, I think you must have mentioned to me at one point that you were working with SEN children or something along those lines.
Yeah. So that was what I'm still doing currently, but I'm moving on from that. But yeah.
Wow, guys, listen, this is someone who in fact, he just mentioned that he's still doing it because this is actually one of the things that people often get confused by. Like, people think that, okay, if you start a property business, it means that you have to just drop everything now and like it means all of your commitments, they just die. But what Len has basically suggested to us here is that you're able to make money in property alongside a full-time 9 to 5 or a part-time 9 to 5, because at the end of the day, it's all about extra stream of income that he can be doing remotely. So perhaps like, how do you even do it, like whilst you're on commute or whilst you're on your lunch break, or how do you like schedule your time?
So I'm 24/7 basically. So if I'm going to work, on my way back home from work, lunchtime, break time, anytime where I'm on my phone, I'm basically active. So I'm basically like 24/7 basically. So yeah.
Exactly that. Like, he's active, he's hungry for it, which is why he's made the money that he's made within the space. Like, whilst most people are thinking about getting a second job or, you know, starting a side hustle that doesn't profit as much, like people like Lena are making moves. While you were sitting at home doing niche, people were making moves, okay, that were changing their lives. Okay, Len, I want to ask you a question. So I want to talk about your most recent deal that you closed on the PPC. For those who are watching, the PPC stands for the Pillars Property Community, which I extend to all of my mentees to be able to do a method called co-sourcing. Co-sourcing means is that you are collaborating with one another. So this might look like one person has got the deal, one person has got the investor, and they will split the fee. And Lennox, how much is the fee typically?
£3,000 roughly.
£3,000. So if he was to co-source with someone on the group, which he actually did, if we can just do basic maths, that fee split together is £1,500 each. Bear in mind that if someone was to make just two of those, 1,500, that is 3K on top of your income on your 9 to 5. So Len, I want you to explain to the viewers, what is property deal sourcing? How can it be done remotely? And then after that, I'm going to ask you the question again of like your latest deal.
So property deal sourcing is basically just being the middleman in a deal. So you're the middleman between the agent or the landlord and the investor. So the agent or the landlord will have the property, and then the investor will be the one basically funding the deal or purchasing the deal from you. So you're basically just the middleman or the middlewoman for that basically. For the remote deal sourcing, you can do it anywhere basically. So you can do it from home, from work, any location. So you don't need to be in a specified location to actually get it done. So you can do it through your laptop or your phone.
Amazing. And I have a question for you before I ask my next question. What does it mean to make money remotely for you? As someone who is still within like the working space and you've taken this on as a side hustle, like what makes a difference for it being remote for you as opposed to having to like physically go to a place to like make extra income?
First off, I save money from travel. I don't need to travel anywhere. I can stay at home, or even not just that, I can also do it at work. As I mentioned, during my free periods at work, I can do it there. So I'm not restricted in any type of way whatsoever. So that's the essential part for me, because time is important. You don't just want to be restricted into I have to travel there or travel over here to get it done. So that does help a lot.
So following on from one of my other questions for you, speak to us about your latest deal. How much did the investor pay for the deal? How did you go about doing it? Like, what was the journey like? I know you mentioned that you did it remotely and you worked with two other wonderful, beautiful girls who are also part of my mentorship program, Princess and Ruth. Shout out to you. You guys are going to hopefully see their interview you here as soon as possible. But speak us through that deal. What did it look like? And yeah, how did you get it done? How much did y'all get paid? Because listen, we hear about the payments, y'all. We're here for the money.
It was basically an off-market deal from an agent I worked with previously. It was quite a bit of a different deal because I usually source service accommodation deals. That's what I specialize in. But then this agent gave me a 4-bed in Croydon to source. That deal was quite tricky because the rent was basically above market rate. So I just decided, let me just post it in the group and then see if anyone's interested. Then obviously the girls, PRX Properties, they gave me a shout. So from there, we just spoke about it. They ran their numbers. They spoke to the investor. He was interested. So they told me to arrange the viewings for that. And then right after that, literally like 5 to 10 minutes later, they're like, yeah, the investor wants it. So straightforward like that. And then it took us like a week or two to close the deal because we had to like sort out the contract, make sure that there were certain things in the clauses that made sense, negotiating rent periods, grace period, etc. So yeah, that deal, it was basically a straightforward deal. Had a few back and forths, but yeah, it was a nice deal to close. Shout out to Ruth and Princess. Appreciate you guys for that one. So yeah, and we got paid £3,000 for that as well. So
what Len is telling us right now, he made £3,000 by using his laptop and using a group chat that I added him into to make connections for a property deal. Guys, are we deep in what Len has just said? You can make £3,000. As in, this is not £300, £200, a quick little chicken change. 3,000 great British pounds on one deal, on just one. Guys, again, I want you to imagine if you could make an extra £3,000 on top of your 9 to 5 income. Like, what would that do for you? Bro, I need you to even tell us, like, let's be honest. Like, when you made that 3K, like, what were you thinking about spending it on? Just be real. Listen, if it's a tech fleece, it's a tech fleece, but it's fine.
these new shoes I bought. Yeah. So I went. It's just a New Balance. It's nothing too special. So obviously, that a majority of the money is going to another deal that I'm about to take on with my business partner. But obviously, I spent a portion of it on shoes and then.
Amazing stuff. Okay, cool. You know, within the kind of teachings that I give you guys in terms of property deal sourcing, I've kind of branded it as property being a form of remote income. And you just touched on a point there that you've actually started to expand within your property business. And one thing that I do really advocate for, guys, is this module that I've created, which is beyond deal sourcing, because there's actually multiple ways, especially within property and other ways as well, which we'll touch on this Tina the CEO page on a later date. But there's multiple ways to actually make money within the property sector. So Len, like, can you speak to us a little bit about the other business that you've got within property and how that came about?
What I do as well is I run a service accommodation business as well. So instead of me sourcing the deal, I actually take on a deal as well. So that's what I'm doing currently. I'm about to take on another deal this month. So we're in the middle of drafting contracts for that. And apart from just taking on deals, also want to do management. So it's basically the same thing. So Airbnb management for landlords or investors. The only difference between that and me taking on the deal is just that it's risk-free. I don't have to put in no money whatsoever. I just have to manage the deal. So if that's getting bookings, just managing the pricing, getting cleaners in. So it's just basically more risk-free where I don't have to guarantee no rent whatsoever. And Tinu teaches that anyway. So she's been encouraging us to get into that perspective of the Airbnb space as well. So yeah.
Amazing. So from what I've understood of what you've said, like you've used your experience within deal sourcing to then be able to leverage and expand your business into actual Airbnb. Because with what Len is saying, there's two types of Airbnb businesses. You can do one where you're paying a rent to the landlord each month. And then after paying the rent to the landlord, you re-rent it out on Airbnb and booking.com and you make a profit that way. But there's a model specifically that I actually teach my mentees. It's called Free Airbnb, which is essentially every skill that Len knows from deal sourcing, which is finding a deal for an investor, making sure that the numbers make sense, arranging viewings, etc. But instead of charging them a sourcing fee, you'd say, actually, I'd like to withhold the fee and I'd like to split the profits with you 50-50 or whatever kind of fee split you guys decide. And then that way he's making like a more residual income within the property space. Is that correct, Len?
Yeah, that's it, exactly that.
Fantastic. One thing I can say, listen, as a mentor, I remember meeting Len and I was just like, he has got such a fire in his belly. Like, guys, don't look at Len's success and think, oh, like, let me just watch 1 or 2 YouTube videos and think I can do this on my own. Like, Len actually held on to the guidance with everything within him. And like, I could just see he was hungry. Like, Len, talk to me about that time. Because I remember we were having this conversation that you were saying about like deals were falling through, you know, things along those lines. And that like, speak to us from the perspective of like when you finally got your first deal, because I think you must have said like you saw other people doing it and it was just like, yo, if they can do it, like why not me?
Yeah, so basically like I've been trying to source it took me a few months to close my first deal, but obviously I was seeing a lot of people in PPC community group close a lot of deals, you'd be congratulating them, promoting them, giving them a shout out. So I was seeing that a lot, like every month. So I just had to ask myself, if someone else is doing it, what am I doing that's not helping me like get the same achievements? So I wasn't looking at it as a blame to anyone else, like, oh, it's this or that. I was just looking at myself. So I had to just double check, okay, what does the investor actually want? If they say they want something in zone 1, don't go and get something in zone 3. Another thing is, if they want a flat, don't go and look for a house. Don't waste your time searching for something that they don't want, because it's going to be an instant rejection. So I just had to look at myself and just double check that I'm meeting the criteria that they're requesting for. So that's what I was doing. So yeah, so I had to fix that on my side and just looking at other people's successes. When I see other people doing well, it kind of pushes me on, like, if they can do it, why can't I do it? That's what pushed me on. That's what egged me on. And also, when I was speaking to you about some of my deals, you kept on motivating me, telling me to just keep going, and that is normal as a part of the process for deals to fall through, and not every deal is going to close. So I appreciate you for that as well. So yeah, man.
Guys, I just cannot stop like being so proud of him, because that's exactly it. Like, it's about continuing to keep going, because a lot of people, they'll try something new and then they'll give up, and it's like, oh, okay, property isn't for me. I want to try this thing or this thing, or I want to make income remotely, but actually no, I want to get a physical office. It's like, you need to actually be quite sure and like steady in terms of what it is that you want to achieve and what it is that you want to build. And like, I remember like speaking to you when we first got started working together about your why. Share a little bit with us about like your why. Like, why did you want to start property in the first place?
I can't see myself working until 65 years old. I can't do the 9 to 5 until I'm 65 years old. Like, see my parents do it. They've worked hard. I appreciate them for that. But I've always knew I was destined for something greater. So that was one thing. And then also, I've always wanted to get into property. Like, my dad's in property, not in London, but obviously back home where we come from, he's in that department as well. He does property investments there. So I was kind of intrigued by that, but I didn't know how to get into property. I didn't even know it was possible to get into property in London until I found out about deal sourcing. So when I found out about that, I was like, yeah, let me test it out and then see how it goes from there. And then I took a chance on it, and then hopefully this will be the way for me to just get out of the 9 to 5 life and then live a very adventurous business life. So yeah.
I absolutely love that. And yeah, like, it's all about taking that chance and like focusing on your why, because sometimes people will think to themselves, okay, like, I'm trying multiple things, it's not working. It's because you're distracted and you don't know why you actually want to achieve this thing in the first place. Like, you need to come to a place of being sure of your goals. Like, for me personally, and I'll touch on my journey, I started my property deal sourcing business within the remote real estate sector whilst I was still in my university room. Like, I was quite literally like coming back home from lectures, closing deals. Like, I remember my first ever deal, guys, was with one of my clients I met on Facebook, of all places. And I'm going to get Len to touch on a little bit of like where he even finds these investors, like as a complete beginner, where is he even locating these people? For me personally, it was on Facebook, and he was interested in a deal in Coventry city centre. I lived there at the time because I went to uni around that area, and it was just like, oh, okay, like, is he actually going to close? Is he actually going to be interested? You know, at this point, like, a few deals had fallen out of bed, which means that they didn't go through, and I was just frustrated. So when he was like, oh, I'm interested, I was just like, okay, cool, yeah, so is everybody else, bro. Like, let's see if you're actually on it. But it got to it, and he actually closed, meaning he paid me £3,000 from the comfort of my uni room. All I did was just find a property online, come on Rightmove, Zoopla, Gumtree, etc. I just found a house online, and he saw it, he liked it, he paid, and he used it for his Airbnb business, and he made a profit as a result of me finding it. And of course, I got paid 3K. I'll be honest about what I spent my 3K on. I got a new wig, y'all. I mean, it wasn't this one. This one is one of my latest units. This is the Talia Murray boneless hair. But I got a new wig. I got new shoes. I flew out my friends. I was like, listen, I miss money today. Oh, I miss money today. I knew for a fact, listen, yo, I have never seen money like this before in my life, and I would be damned if I don't do this again. I'll tell you what I did. I quit my student job. I said, guys, I don't recommend you do this. Oh, no. I said to them, listen, I will personally not be returning back to this cafe, because I've just discovered a form of wealth that I can make on my laptop, baby. All I am doing is finding property deals for someone else. Now, this is the thing. Len, did you put any of your own money into the house? Like, for when you did deal sourcing, did you put any rent, bills, mortgage, deposit, any of your own monies? Did you pay for the house?
For deal sourcing? No, I didn't. There's nothing to invest into deal sourcing apart from probably registering your company. But if it's for the actual deals, there's nothing to put in.
Guys, one of the only methods within property that you can get into without paying any rent, bills, mortgage, or deposit, and still walk away with £3,000 profit each time. Guys, if you're not serious about your deal sourcing journey, become serious now. If you are looking for a way to make money remotely, specifically within property, because there are other multiple streams, but this is one of the main ones, get into deal sourcing now. Len, my final question for you is, in terms of like total income, how much would you say you've made in your deal sourcing journey so far?
Over £10,000, therefore 5 figures. So yeah.
Len has made five figures in his deal sourcing journey from the comfort of his own home. And he's blessed to like not be too far away from some of the major areas where people take on property. So occasionally, if he wants to even meet his investors, he will. And if I'm not mistaken, is that not how you met your business partner?
Yeah. So I met him through my first deal that I closed. So this was through another group that I'm a part of. So I met him through that. I closed the deal with him, but it wasn't just me closing the deal that kind of got us like locked in together. It was the aftermath. So when I closed the deal for him, there was issues with the property, and then the agent that was meant to be handling that for the landlord was a bit slow whatsoever. So the investor basically called me down like, "What, can you come down and just help us out here?" So I was there. I was basically sorting out any problems that he needed, talk to the agent, just handling everything on his side. So it was after that when you realized that I was just genuine and ready to help him out. We just basically became close friends. Like we're close friends right now. We do business together. We talk every day. So it was just that. So yeah, what I've understood from this business is that just because you close the door doesn't end from there. You should always keep yourself involved. Keep yourself involved. You don't want someone to feel like they bought a product and then all of a sudden you just vanish. Because I've heard a lot of investors go through that where they buy a deal for someone and then all of a sudden when things go left or when things are not going the way it should be going, when it's time for the deal sourcer to try and sort out things or try and like fix things that should have been done properly on their side, they just vanish. So I just capitalized on that situation to show that, yeah, I'm a genuine guy. I'm going to definitely sort out what needs to be sorted out, and any apologies for whatever has happened on my side that should have been sorted out. So yeah, so from then on it's just been locked in. So shout out to my business partner, man. It's always love, man. It's always love.
It's always love to his business partner. And I think he touched on something really, really special there about the art of what I like to call professional befriending, which is that people that you work with, you professionally get to know them and you actually just go above and beyond for their requirements and their needs. Because as a result of this, like Len has done multiple business with this individual and like they're looking to expand more. Like imagine if he had really poor customer service and he just ghosted or he wasn't interested in working together anymore. Like he's really gone out of his way in order to be excellent. But yeah, okay, amazing. Well, Len, thank you so much. I'll get a little handshake for Len. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming down. And guys, if you want to get into property deal sourcing and you want to learn how to make a remote income in property, make sure that you DM me on Tinu the CEO on Instagram or TikTok. DM me the word learn. I will send you a voice note. Yes, you will actually hear my actual voice about how you can get started. And I'd love to hopefully book you on to a call with my team. Len, if anyone is like skeptical about learning deal sourcing or skeptical about coming on board, like what would you say to them?
When it comes to team, you're gonna get the right support. Like I see it in the group every week. Every week she's got investors that she's sharing with her mentees. There's mentees in the group that can also vouch that they're closing deals with her. So I've seen it myself. And if you're not going to close a deal with her, there's someone in the group you're going to close the deal with. Like literally, like I said today, last month I closed a deal with someone in the group that she also mentored. So yeah, the proof is there. So just don't give up on yourself. Keep working, keep pushing. And always shout Tina if you need any assistance. She's always there, man. So yeah.
And also, I know that I have some investors that are watching this page. Len is someone that I can 100% vouch for. He is fantastic and very hardworking and very skilled within the property deal sourcing space. So if there are any investors or co-sourcers looking to work with you, how can they locate you?
So I'm only on Instagram, but I will expand later on. So you can find me on Instagram at len10_. So that's LENNTENN_. So yeah, follow me, message me. I always reply. I reply to everyone. I always try to do my best to give fast replies. So message me. I'll be more than willing to connect with others, whether you're a landlord, agent, investor, co-sourcer, whatever aspect in the business, property business that you're in. I'm ready to connect with everyone. So shoot me a DM and hopefully you can build a good relationship and do business together.
Amazing. And if you are a landlord who has an empty property available and you are looking for a guaranteed rent company, please do contact myself or Len. Remember that the service for you as a landlord is completely free of charge because we actually charge our fee to the end user, the Airbnb client or the HMO client or the social housing. So if you have got a free property and you do want that managed completely free of charge, please do get in touch with either of us. But this has been Tina the CEO, over and out.